If you're new to our channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button.
Hi there, I have a question for you. I have what is called slime mold. I had to Google it to find the name. It grew in yellow hard foam piles on the side of my raised beds. I left it alone, and it looked like it was going to die, but I have now mold growing on the stalks of my radishes and beets beneath the greens. Is this affecting the plants? Do I need to pull them up and toss them? Or, as Google says, and we know how Google is accurate all the time, Google says it is harmless. What should I do? Teresa from St. Francis, Wisconsin, writes in on that one.
Well, thank you for your question, Teresa. Yes, you can. It's not harmful to humans. It's not harmful to plants unless it gets on the leaves.
Because it's going to choke out.
It's going to choke out. It's going to choke. It's not like it's going to cause huge issues, like from a physiology standpoint, but it is going to choke out the photosynthesis process. So usually it clears itself up within a couple of days. If you continue to have that problem, you might want to move. If you have mulch around those plants, you might want to remove that away from the plants and let it kind of dry out in that area, because it's a fungus. It's because of a lot of moisture. If you want to kill it, you can spray it with a combination of 1 tablespoon of baking soda mixed in very well with 1 gallon of water.
Here's a canning question for you, Holly. You're a multi-award winning Wisconsin State Fair canner. No matter how hard I try, my peaches float in the jars, even when I pack tightly. Any suggestions?
Sure. Floating is normal no matter how tight you pack your items, but some floating will occur, and it's okay. Overripe fruit typically would float because the acid and pectin content is lower, so you want to make sure you're using fresh fruits. Otherwise, there is air that remains in the tissue of many fruits after processing, and so that's why it would float. And
that's no matter how tightly packed you can get them, you're still going to have that issue. And especially,
you do want to tightly pack your jars, but you don't want to jam it in there. You want to be able to have the liquid so that it goes around the
submerges, and then also you want to have the proper head space in order to do that correctly as well. You may lose some of that liquid in the canning process, but you want to go ahead and do that. Alan asked, what are some good ideals for getting rid of mugwort without resorting to an inorganic means?
So mugwort is actually a weed. It can be a very invasive weed that grows.
What weed's not invasive?
It grows typically in ditches. It likes a lot of moisture.
And that's what we've had in our gardens.
And that's what we've had
in a lot of places this year.
Especially in a ditch in that low-lying area where moisture is going to pool. So you have to combat it as soon as you start to see it. So in the early spring or even in the late fall, what you can do is you would want to use an organic weed killer, and those do exist.
BioSafe
right.
Has that, yes.
Mm-hmm. Otherwise, you want to weed it out, and as soon as possible, before that moisture can happen.
Just do not pull the weed. Get the root system and everything out of that root system possible, because that if you just rip the top off, those are going to regenerate new plants very, very quickly. Dear Wisconsin vegetable gardener, I saw on your YouTube channel about saving onions and shallot seeds, and I have a question about my shallot seeds. I had a small bed that I planted last year, about 20 bulbs. This spring I harvested them and left 2 plants to go to seed. The flowers have formed this globe-like flower, but when I open the flower, I don't see the black seeds that were indicated in the video. In each of the tiny flowers, I see several tiny seeds. Some are tiny. Those tiny flowers have opened up, and those tiny, tiny seeds are inside the flowers. Are those the seeds that I need to save, or should I wait longer? Evan from New York. Well, Evan, here's the answer. Yes, those flowers will produce seeds. You're very early in the process right now. You will need to let the plant go to full maturity, die back, and then those seeds will be black in the head of the flower, and you can save those seeds. But you want to let the plant completely go through its life cycle in order to do the maturity of the seeds. If you harvest them too early, they're not going to be viable. And you want to catch them just as they're drying. Once the plant dies back, you can capture the head of the flower in a paper bag and let it dry, and those seeds you can plant next spring, and you'll have shallots. How can we hold on to the pollinators in which we have? What are some techniques and plants in which we can grow? So let's go to Ben. He is the farm property manager at Standard Process. Standard Process is your trusted whole food supplement manufacturer for over 90 years. To help identify the best supplements for you, find your local healthcare professional today. Go to standardprocess.com/patient.
Hi, this is Ben Bartlett with the Standard Process Organic Farm. We often get questions about what is the best way to encourage pollinators to stay in your yard. We do a couple of things here on the farm that will work in your garden. The first thing to do is to dedicate a small percentage of your garden or your lawn to something like perennial flowers or native grasses. That provides food and homes for those pollinators. Keep in mind it's not just bees, it can be wasps and flies and many other insects that pollinate your plants. The second thing to do is let those garden veggies grow and go all the way to flower. Something like a broccoli flower is actually going to provide some food for those pollinators in the off season. The last thing to do is to seek out native plants to plant around the edges of your yard, and don't spray out those weeds like the dandelions that provide so much important food really early in the season. Doing these things is going to help improve habitat and help you keep pollinators in your yard, which will benefit not just you, but your neighbors as well.
For more information, please visit thewisconsinvegetablegardener.com.